But the dishwasher was still running? Nobody thought to turn off the dishwasher?
We did.
He says he's the one who told you to turn it off because you're cleaning the water and it's still coming out and the dishwasher's still running. So you guys didn't turn off, that plan A wasn't turn off the dishwasher and then clean up?
This is the plaintiff, Sam Salamnia. He says his upstairs neighbor used dish soap in his dishwasher, causing a massive overflow of water and bubbles to leak through his ceiling into his kitchen, ruining his expensive electronic devices. His nasty neighbor refuses to acknowledge the severity of his damages, and he's here in the good name of justice, seeking that $2,500 he's owed. This is the defendant, Amir Rashad. He says he admits using the wrong soap and causing a small leak. But the opportunist plaintiff is trying to rip him off. He won't show him any evidence of ruined expensive electronics. The guy's making it all up to cash in. And shame on him. He's accused of bubbling up a lawsuit.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. All right, Mr. Salamnia, you are suing the people who live upstairs, represented here. I guess you're going to be talking for everybody, is it Rashid?
That's right.
Okay. You're suing the folks who live upstairs from you for $2,500 because, according to you, they created $3,000 something worth of damage through a leak. Tell me what happened.
So I was just home one day, and all of a sudden my dog starts barking, and I look over, and from the ceiling of the kitchen, there's lots of water just coming down. So I didn't know exactly what it's from. I called the landlord. She didn't pick up the phone. I ended up going upstairs, and I see there's a large puddle of water going on there by their dishwasher. There's like bubbles coming out. The washer is still running. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but there's a lot of water coming down from my unit in the kitchen. What's going on? And they're like, well, the dishwasher and whatnot. And obviously I told them, at this point, just turn it off.
What happened with the dishwasher, Mr. Rashid?
Well, I accidentally used the dish soap instead of dishwasher powder. But when the plaintiff knocked on our door, we were in the process of cleaning it up.
But the dishwasher was still running? Nobody thought to turn off the dishwasher?
We did.
He says he's the one who told you to turn it off because you're cleaning the water and it's still coming out and the dishwasher's still running. So you guys didn't turn off, that plan A wasn't turn off the dishwasher and then clean up?
The thing is, I didn't have a dishwasher back home, so I don't know how to operate it in the first place.
Okay.
So it was really
clearly. Are you the one who put the dish soap in the dishwasher?
I did.
That's why they've got you speaking on their behalf. Okay. All right. But now, Mr. Salamnia, it's very clear that was negligence on his part. Why are you suing everybody else he lives with instead of just him?
Well, because one, I didn't know who actually caused.
Oh, he didn't tell you at that time?
No.
Okay. And you're suing for, according to you, this leak in your kitchen did how much damage?
In total, it was $3,000 and change. But I have so long story short, the way that
No,
this
I don't like long stories being short. I want actual proof. You're saying that a leak in your kitchen caused $3,000 something of electronics damaged? All your electronics happen to be right under the leak?
Well, it wasn't just electronics, but yes,
exactly what was damaged?
So there was 2 wireless cameras. There was.
How are 2 wireless cameras right under the leak?
A lot of my stuff is just out. Like you can.
I don't listen. I've had leaks. I know what leaks are. all right? I've also been doing this job for a lot of years. I'm trying to understand how there's almost $4,000 of electronics right under the leak that was immediately solved. Instead of a bucket, normal people put a bucket. They take the electronics that are $4,000 of electronics that are magically in the kitchen get moved immediately when they see what's happening, and a bucket goes underneath there. So how is it? I'm going to need to see proof that there was $4,000 worth of damage.
Okay, so that's not a problem.
It appears to be because I don't have any. How are you going to show me the proof?
So, once I had these damages, I sent a message to the people upstairs, and I was like, look, you guys clearly caused this damage. I have this letter from the landlord.
They asked to see, that part's not in dispute. They asked to see proof of $4,000 worth of damage. They asked to go there and be able to see it. And what did you tell them? So
I told them that once you reimburse me for these items, I'm happy to give them all to you. You guys can do whatever you please with them.
No. See, this is not.
It says that. It says that in the email.
Alice, this isn't Alice in Wonderland, judgment first, trial later. You first are in a position where they need to know that you're not just capitalizing. So they need to know, hey, there's really $4,000. Oh my gosh, every piece of electronics he owns was right underneath where the leak is. They would have to see that. So they asked to see it, and your answer is, you pay first, and then I'll give it to you? Why wouldn't you just show them, look, this is broken, and look, this is broken?
I sent them pictures, actually.
How do you see in a picture that something isn't working? Can you tell me that? Let me tell you how people prove that something has been broken. They either have a professional look at it and says this is unrepairable, or they show me that it's broken, or they show them that it's broken. How are you going to prove that you have $4,000 worth of electronics that don't work? Prove it to me now.
Okay, so let me give you one example. So there's I work in tech, okay? So I work I do sales, I do consulting, I install pieces, so on and so forth. So one example of something that they disputed was, for example, there's a Avaya IP Office PRI card. I had one, it was brand new, it was sealed in the box. And again, there's pictures that I showed them as well. I opened the box that was sealed, you could see the water damage in there.
Why was that in your kitchen? If this was in a box, how did it get water damaged? And how in this picture am I supposed to see that that's water damage? What should I be looking for?
So where the black chip is on the left side, there was some water stain. There was water on this card.
Do you have a picture of the box that's soaked?
No, I do not. The way that Avaya sends
what else?
their
How
boxes,
else are you going to show me that you're out for $3,000 something in things that don't work?
For example, look at the Honeywell thermometer picture. You can clearly see all the water stains that are on the item.
I guess those could be water stains. This is a little tougher. Do you have a picture of the actual leak?
I think the only pictures I have are from after the fact. So there's
some of the
water stain that you can see.
Is this
That's
the leak?
some of the water stain. That's some of it.
Has your landlord fixed this damage?
No, they actually have not fixed any of the damage.
What do you say was under that leak?
So there was a Avaya IP Office card.
Right.
That was about $896.
Oh, that's the big one. So I would expect you to have some evidence that that's damaged.
Until you install the card, you can't tell if it's damaged or not. But
then how are you going to collect $900 in court saying it's damaged?
Well, that's like me saying, okay, I'm going to sell you a cell phone. I know it's been water damaged, but right now it's working fine. But if it doesn't work in a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever, well, I'm not going to be responsible. And, I can't do that to my clients. I'm not going to sell you something that I know has been water damaged. It's just wrong. It's unethical. So, and the second piece
How do I know it's water damaged? How do I know? See, here's the thing. Let me explain to you in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down. I got to make sure you're not an opportunist, right? I've got a list that you tell them, and then I have a different list you tell the insurance company. The insurance company, you have such a high deductible that the insurance company figures it's easier to get rid of you writing an $800 check than it is to litigate with you what got damaged and what didn't. So the insurance company writes you an $800 check. And now you're asking that your deductible, $2,500, be covered by them. It's easy. I just need proof that stuff is damaged, because I cannot, just because you say so, order them to pay you all this money for this stuff. You've got to be able to prove to me that it doesn't work. What else besides a $900 card happened to be under the leak? Go ahead.
Okay.
By the way, when you saw the leak, did you move all your electronics out of the way before you ran up?
Yeah, I mean, once I saw the leak, I moved some of them. I didn't move everything because I wanted the landlord to come see it because I thought this was a landlord issue. Had no idea
No. You left your stuff under the leak then? So you left electronics under the leak while you went upstairs to tell them what's going on?
Whatever was already wet was already wet. I mean, if it's already wet, it's wet. So it doesn't matter if it gets drenched or it's half wet. If it's wet, it's wet.
Did you ever send them invoices, Mr. Solemnia?
Yeah, I sent him a demand letter.
No,
and I
that
listed
you
out
see.
each piece.
You keep thinking that when I ask for evidence, I mean, did you say something? Right. See, you think when you say something, it's evidence. They asked for invoices. That's evidence. Did you ever send them invoices?
No, I don't have any invoices.
You don't have a single invoice? When I asked if you had proof of the cost, you said, absolutely. What are you doing? Just going to the internet and pulling things off the internet? You don't have one single invoice for this, and yet it's for resale?
When I resell items, I make a profit on them. So I don't go to my customers and say, oh, well, I bought this for $500. Now I'm selling it to you for $1,000.
Mr. Solemnia, you would have to go to the tax man and tell the tax man that, right? You buy it for X, you sell it for Y, you pay taxes on the profit. So you would have the invoices of having just bought these things if they were brand new.
Well,
like
I would have my credit card receipts at some.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I can.
You won't give it to them, and you didn't give it to me. You know what? I don't know that you had any water damage. I really don't, because you haven't been able to prove it. Verdict for the defendant.
So the plaintiff fails to convince the judge he deserves to recover $2,500 from the defendant in this case. Mr. Solemnia, you really weren't prepared for a trial. I hope you realize that. Do you?
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with this judgment at all.
Well, you don't have to agree with the judge, but had you watched the People's Court at any time in the past, you would have known she needs proof, real proof. And you just didn't have proof. None. Zip. Mr. Rashid, if you've learned anything from this, it's how to work a dishwasher, how to load a dishwasher, right?
Yes. I know.
All right. Yeah, I hope it'll serve you well into the future. Good luck to you.
Too. You too.
Thank you very much. Okay, Harvey, what you thinking?
So, Doug, in a case like this, it would be such a good idea when you see water cascading down onto your property in your apartment, take video of it actually happening. If you do it not after the fact, but as it's going on, that seems to be irrefutable evidence.
I wanted to look into getting a lawyer to seek legal advice. When searching the web, I get an overwhelming amount of results. What's the best way to find a good lawyer?
I'll tell you the worst way to find a good lawyer.
Like the web?
To just go on the internet and pick one at random like that, because that's all advertising. What you want is word of mouth.
Right.
And preferably if you know somebody who might know a good lawyer because they've already had a lawsuit and had a good experience. It's really... Or if you're able to actually investigate their reputation versus their advertisement on the web.
Right.
Somehow. But
yes, sometimes everything in the advertisements is not really on the up and up. I mean, you might get a lawyer for a personal injury case who has advertisements about huge judgments, but maybe they weren't collected, or they were just...
Or maybe they were slam dunk cases. That doesn't mean the person's a great lawyer. You
not necessarily.
Right.
You know? And I agree with you 100%. Word of mouth, friends, and talking around with people. And then when you get there, make sure you know where you stand on how you're going to pay for this and what it's going to cost, whether it's a contingency fee and you're really not going to have to pay out of pocket, or if you have to pay by the hour,
unless there's
or
a
if you pay one price for the work.
Right.
You know?
I always, when somebody asks me for, it happens a lot, and it happens to you too, that people say, do you have any recommendation on a lawyer? I will always give 3 recommendations and tell them, go see each of them and see who you're comfortable with.
So they can't hang it on you when whoever it is turns out to be a stiff who doesn't really do the job.
Well, they'll never be a stiff, but maybe they don't win, and then they consider their lawyer at fault. I don't want to be blamed. But, you have to have a good rapport with your lawyer. You have to be able to talk to them. You have to know that they're responsive. They have to know, you have to manage your expectations. You need to, you know, you need to be clear about all these things. So the best lawyers will have like really explicit documents about things that include how the charges are going to be and a retainer agreement. If the lawyer just says, give me your money and I'll charge you, and then they keep walking, that's not a good lawyer.
Yeah, and a lot of lawyers specialize, especially in bigger cities. So you don't want to get the real estate lawyer to do your DUI or whatever you've got.
No,
like
it's all
that.
different.
So, what do they say? A good lawyer knows the law. A great lawyer knows
the judge.
Right.
We actually have a dish towel that says that.
This is the plaintiff, Kevin Dawkins. He says he went on a date with the defendant and she jumped into his truck while he was having a cigarette and crashed it. She was intoxicated. She jumped the curb, ran over an expensive e-bike, causing it to fall, and his truck got damaged. He's suing and wants the $2,500 he still owed from her. This is the defendant, Ashley Carr. She says the plaintiff let her drive his truck when they were on a date, and they were both drinking. She admits she tapped an e-bike, which fell over, but doesn't remember any damage to the guy's truck, which was pretty banged up to begin with. Soon after she refused to pay him all this money, her car was set on fire, and she received threatening text messages, and she knows it was the plaintiff. Oh, him? No way. She's accused of having a bad first date.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that he went on a grand total of one date with the defendant and the drunken woman crashed his truck into a stop sign. But the defendant says the plaintiff let her drive his truck because he was drinking, and she admits tapping a stop sign but causing no damage. It's the case of must have been a wall banger.
I've been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dawkins, you are suing Ms. Carr for $2,500, a cost to repair your 2011 Ford Explorer that you say she crashed. What happened? How do you two know each other?
We met on Facebook. She posted up something on Facebook stating that she wanted somebody to drive her to church, and I offered.
Okay.
Then we started talking, and then from there we went on a date, and then she crashed my truck.
Tell me about the date. You went drinking?
No, I don't drink. I smoke weed.
Where did you guys go on your date?
We was originally supposed to go to this steakhouse, and the steakhouse was closing, so we went to the Mall House, which is like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
I parked the car right across the street from the steakhouse where the bike, where she ran over the bike.
Okay. And did you eat first and have your date, and then when does the accident happen?
So basically, after we ate, we came back. I said, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. She was like, ew, you nasty. You should smoke your weed. I'm like, nah, I'm not smoking my weed right now. So she said, all right, whatever, smoke your stink ass cigarette. So I stood outside, out of the car, stood to the side, started smoking my cigarette. She jumped from the passenger seat to the driver's seat and put it in drive. She pulls off, hits the curb. The right side of the vehicle was on the curb. She rolls over the e-bike first and then hits the stop sign.
Oh, jeez. All right. What happened, Ms. Carr?
First of all, we're on live TV and you're lying. I have the messages and I have the proof. You say that was the first date. That wasn't the first date. Okay? Second of all, you was drinking with me. You know very much well you was drinking with me. And consider, I admit my part. I know I was drinking. I know I was intoxicated. I know I asked you to drive the car. But you were so busy trying to get into my pants again that you said yes and handed me the key. You understand? There's no way I would have been able to do that fast and drive off. And the accident didn't even happen on the same block. You understand? So
Where
now
did
you're just lying.
No, I'd like to
Didn't
understand.
even happen on the
So
same
wait,
block.
what's your defense? So you get in the car
with me.
You get in the car, and what happens?
He was in the car with me. When the accident happened, we both hopped out the car. Then you told me, oh, get back in the car because you're drunk. Get back in the car. Then you talk about, I told you something about some stink cigarette. Like, that's how you know you're lying and you're just going along making up stuff. Like, come on.
Did you have an accident or didn't you?
I did have the accident.
Tell me about the accident. Tell me about the accident.
Okay, and I drove off. I hit the bike, and we both hopped out the car to see what happened. You understand? And right then and there, he told the guy, he's begging him, please don't call the insurance. Please don't call the insurance. You understand? And right then and there, I paid him $800. I sent him $800 through Cash App right then and there.
You sent who $800?
Kevin.
Okay.
I sent Kevin the $800, and I'm guessing he was telling the guy that he was going to give the guy the money so the guy doesn't call his insurance. So he tried to go around the insurance. It was an accident, and when you have insurance, you report the insurance.
Did you hit the stop sign too?
I don't remember hitting the stop sign. I remember the bike, but I don't remember the stop sign.
What did it feel like?
Like I said, I was drunk.
Did you run over the whole bike?
No, I tapped the bike. I didn't run over the man's whole bike.
So you forward $800, which you acknowledge, Mr. Dawkins, right? That she sent you $800.
Yes.
And you
she
sent that
me $800 directly.
And then you sent that $800 to the bike owner. And then what did you settle with the bike owner? That $800?
No. So after I run over to the car, the guy came out of the same steakhouse that we were supposed to go inside of, and he ended up working there. And he said, "Yo, what the?" Excuse my language. I'm like, "Listen, man, I just started my insurance. Here's my insurance. I'm gonna tell my insurance that I literally came out. I was gonna start taking fault for it because I'm only one on insurance. I didn't give her permission to drive my vehicle. And then there's going to be a whole big situation. And on top of that, my insurance would drop me because I didn't report it properly. So instead of me trying to go through all of that riffraff, because if you first start insurance, you have to have it for at least 90 days so they don't drop you from coverage. I said to the guy, I said, look, I'm going to tell my insurance that your bike was here and that I rolled over it coming out of the parking spot.
I'm going to commit insurance fraud. And go on. Anyway, go on.
I'm sorry. So the guy said, okay. He said, you're going to call your insurance? I said, yes, I'm going to call my insurance. I just need your first and last name, your information, your phone number, something. Give me something so I can have the insurance contact you. I gave him a physical copy of my insurance. Okay. And he took it. Then while we was on our way back, I'm just still distraught because I'm like, why would you drive my car? I told you not to jump in the driver's seat. Stay in the passenger seat. You're drunk. You don't listen. So she's still going back and forth. It's okay. I'm an EMT. I can pay for it. So I said, you could pay for it? You are going to pay for it. Hold on a second. The guy gave me his number before we left. I called the guy while I was on the highway and I asked the guy, I said, how much do you want for the bike? He said $1,000. That's how much the bike costs. It costs me $1,000 and I'm going to be out of work for at least a week. So I said, okay, is it okay if I send you $800? Then we settled between each other of me and him talking through text message that he wanted $200 in weed because he
Why
smoked the weed
is
or
everyone
whatever.
always telling me they're about their weed sales?
They must feel they have to be honest. They
Like,
can't help
what is it
themselves.
about my face? All right, so you settle with the guy for essentially $1,000, although $200 of it was in weed. And okay, so she gave you $800, right?
Yes.
And then today you are suing her for the damages to your car that resulted from this accident.
Yes, which is a completely separate charge. She
And had you
told me
ever
that she
talked to
was
her
give
about
two-
paying this back to you? Had you ever told her,
Yes.
listen, yeah? And what had she been saying about it?
She said that to give her 2 weeks, she had to pay her car note, she had to pay her insurance and her rent, and she has to put food in her house. I said, okay, I don't have a problem with that. I know that you have a son, so I'm not going to gouge you for money or whatever. I said, just keep me informed. Where
am I seeing the damage to the car?
On the two rims, on the right side, you see the dented rims. That's with the white mark off the black. And then if you go to the front of the car, the whole hood is dented.
When was this accident?
It's on September 26th because it's on the day that I had sent the money out.
Can you bring my dad some beer when you come? Please, I'll give you the money back. Okay, what does he drink? So after the accident, October 2nd, you're still going out.
Mm-hmm. Still trying to stay in contact with her, asking her what's going on.
And then when I told him that
Oh, good God above. Just, can you guys tell me so I can stop seeing your naked bodies? What's your defense to having to pay for the car, Ms. Carr?
I do know that I crashed the car, like I said, so I had no problem paying him. But then you're basically trying to make me pay for damages that was already on your car. You saying I crushed this man's bike. If I crushed this man's bike, you would have much more damage on your car if I smacked the pole and crushed the bike.
All right, Ms. Carr, based on what I'm hearing, and let me see, do you have the actual estimate from the auto body shop?
Yes, I sent that in as well. It was $5,000 and some change.
So why are you suing for $2,500?
Because I'm being mindful that she still has a kid. She still has bills. Her father lives with her. And
because this is a bloated estimate?
It's not bloated. I'm not sure about bloated, but this is what they told me I needed to get fixed.
All right.
This is what I was told to get fixed.
All right, Ms. Carr, I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff. You crashed his car, you got to pay for it. I find, based on looking at it, that the damages are about $2,000 should cover it. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails. He's going to get $2,000, not the $2,500 that he was seeking, but that should really help a lot. Mr. Dawkins, how about that?
That's better than nothing.
You still having a relationship with this lady, or is it all over?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Good luck to you. $2,000.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day and stay safe.
Hey, thanks. Good advice. Appreciate that. All right, Harvey, what's your thoughts?
So, Doug, let's just talk for a second about settlement agreements. If you have a settlement agreement over a dispute and it is fully executed where you either get the money or pay the money, you don't have a second bite of the apple. You can't go back into court. In this case, the second settlement, was never executed, and that's why this case ended up being litigated.
I live in Florida, so I know there's a two-party requirement for recording someone. But what if it's a business like a mechanic shop that has a Facebook page and I use my Facebook Live video, or a friend just happens to be there and records it on Facebook? Can I get in trouble?
Yes, of course you can. In fact, in Florida Florida happens to be one of the states where it's a third-degree felony to tape somebody without their knowledge.
So they're not playing.
They're not playing.
Third-degree felony.
Not only will you not be able to use it against them, but you could actually go to jail for a felony.
This is the plaintiff, Maria Perry. She says she and her boyfriend signed a lease to rent an apartment and the defendant was the broker. Turns out they never moved in due to their no-pet policy. The landlord returned all of their money, but the stubborn, selfish defendant refuses to return his commission, and that's not fair. She's suing for $2,100, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Chris Avaliotis. He says the plaintiff told the landlord about a week before they were supposed to move in that they were going to get a dog, and the landlord said no. That's when they decided to back out of the rental. He did his job, and he's not giving back any money, regardless of what the landlord chooses to do. He's accused of holding on tight to the cash.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that the defendant owes her a refund because he helped her find an apartment. She never rented it, and he won't return the commission. But the defendant says the plaintiff backed out of the deal after she signed the lease, and he has no responsibility to return anything to her because he did his job finding her the place. It's the case of commission omission.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Maria Perry and David Park, you are representing both of you. You are suing Chris Avaliotis, your broker, to return his broker fee of $2,100 because you decided not to take the apartment. Tell me what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. So my boyfriend and I were looking to move in together. We saw an apartment listed on Zillow. We called Chris, who was the seller's broker. We viewed the apartment. We liked the apartment. We requested an application. 2 days later, on October 25th, we were accepted into the apartment and sent the lease. On October 27th, we went to the apartment to sign the lease and for me to give the landlord and Chris their checks. And my mom actually came with us because she wanted to see the apartment. It was 5 minutes away from her house.
Oh.
She was very happy about that. And so during the lease signing, it came up about, like, they mentioned something about pets. And,
was that the first time anything was mentioned about pets?
Yes. Yeah, because something like came up. Somebody mentioned something about like having pit bulls and how it can be discourteous to your neighbors and stuff like that.
Right,
So,
but did you ever ask about pet policy?
It never came up.
Do you have a pet?
I do not have a pet. No, my mother has a dog.
Okay, so then what happens?
So then, obviously, I don't have a dog, so I'm like, okay, whatever, pit bulls, My mom calls me like a day later.
Wait, did you sign? Wait. So for the first time you see the pet policy, and what do? Walk away, or do you sign the lease?
No, we signed the lease.
Oh,
we signed the lease. I gave the landlord and Chris,
So
their
you know
checks.
the pet policy when you hand the money over and or the no pet policy when you sign the lease and hand the money over, and then what happens?
So then a day or two later, my mom calls me and she's like, you know, what are we gonna do? She's like, because she has a dog, she goes on work trips sometimes, and I babysit the dog. In my old apartment, I would babysit the dog. And she's like, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
No,
She's
neither
like,
did she.
Right. So yeah, she's like, call the landlord and let him know, you know, talk to him, let him know. So that's what I did. So I called the landlord. I told him, you know, I was like, sometimes I
What
babysit
kind of
my
dog does
mom's-
your mother have?
A Maltese.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I babysit the dog. And he's like, look, if you can guarantee that the dog is not going to bark at all, then it's totally fine. But if you can't guarantee that, then it's not going to work. And so, you know, I didn't want to be in violation of the lease, and I'm not going to guarantee that the dog isn't going to bark at all. You know, I would rather not take that chance. So we decided to call it a day, and we arranged to meet, the landlord and myself and my boyfriend, to
This
void
is
the
on
lease.
what day?
So I spoke with the landlord on the 1st, and then we arranged to meet him on November 6th. So we handed him back the lease. He returned our rent, security deposit,
All of
and
it?
the parking fee.
All of it?
Correct. Yes, he returned
Wow.
all of it, and we officially voided the lease.
Okay.
So then the following day, I called Chris. I let him know what happened. I asked him when he would be able to return the broker fee, because we ended up voiding the lease. Everything was amicable with the landlord. You know, Chris had only shown us that one apartment. He was acting as a seller's broker. We never signed anything with him.
This
He
is what I
told
don't
me-
understand. You say he's a seller's broker, he's not our broker, but you just described paying him $2,100 that you wanted back. So at some point, you had to become aware that you were the one responsible for paying the broker fee because you paid it. So when did you become aware that you were responsible for paying the broker fee?
I mean, I guess we were aware when we signed the application.
Okay. All right. So
You
let me
know,
hear
like-
from you, Mr. Aviotis. The tenant is saying, hey, it's a void contract, so give me back my money. What is your position on that?
Well, in the advertisement, in any type of advertisement that I put on many different sites, it says no pets, pets okay. It'll say pets maximum 25 pounds. This particular ad said no pets allowed. The day that she came to sign the lease, the owner and I specifically told her we don't allow any
and
pets
she
in the
read it
building.
in the lease and still gave the money
Correct.
and still signed the lease. So she's on notice. This isn't a big surprise. Right.
So she says to the owner a week, 10 days later, I have a pet. The owner was nice enough to return her security and
Well,
her
no,
rent.
the owner was even nicer than that. The owner said, if your dog is not a barker, I'll let you slide. Is this an apartment building?
Yes, it's a
Right,
three-family house.
which he shouldn't say, or right, because well, I guess if he says, if you can guarantee to me that the dog won't bark. So the owner is super nice. I mean, this is a
Very
real
nice man.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So she asked me back for her.
And I liked
the
your comment,
commission.
and he's a lawyer. Like it was
Lawyers aren't nice.
insane that a lawyer would be nice.
And he's a landlord-tenant
A
lawyer.
landlord-tenant lawyer. And
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And
That was very nice of him. But, landlord-tenant court in New York is a problem right now, so he doesn't want any problems.
I mean, the problem would be hers. She would have to sue him for the money, and she would lose, right? You and I
Well,
both
he was
know
nice
that.
enough to return it. And
He's nice enough to return it. Right.
I believe that I did my job. And speaking to him as an attorney, he told me I don't have to return the broker fee.
You don't. So why?
And it says on my ad, 1 month broker fee.
And she knows that she has to pay it, and she pays it. And tell me what he did wrong. Like, he did a job. He got paid by you for the job. And now, even though he did the job, Ms. Perry, you want him to give you all your money back because you changed your mind. How is that right?
Well, I mean, I just feel that the lease was voided. We never entered into it, and
The lease-
It wasn't voided. You signed
It
it.
wasn't voided. You signed it, and the guy was nice enough to give you your money back. But let's say the lease was, quote, voided. What difference does it make? Your agreement with him is that if he finds you an apartment, he's done his job. And he found you an apartment, and he did his job. You changed your mind in an apartment and the guy's got to pay you back?
Chris told me multiple times via text message. There's an audio recording of a phone conversation. He also told my boyfriend in text, letting us know that he would return the broker fee to us. That was months ago. And so that was the very first thing. From the very first day I called him, he said, okay, I'm just going to wait for another tenant to move in and I will return the broker fee back to you.
Okay. So what happened with that, Chris?
I was going to do that. But then after the texts and after she called me and told me she'll take me to court, I said, well, have somebody else like you make the decision.
God, jeez. Is that how it went down, Ms. Perry?
Yes, we told him.
Ms. Perry, let me give you a little piece of advice. Before you threaten somebody, you ought to know what legal ground you're standing on. If this guy was also nice enough to tell you, once I re-rent it, let me see, blah, 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 then you should just keep your mouth shut and wait and see if you get it. But when you start threatening legal stuff, then he's going to educate himself about legal stuff. He already knows because this is his business. So everybody he works with has been through this. So he already knows what's about to happen. And what's about to happen is he did his job, you don't get the broker's fee back. So before you threaten a lawsuit on someone who's being nice enough to return your money, perhaps you should think twice. My verdict in this case is for the defendant. The law is super clear on this. He did his job. You changed your mind. Verdict for the defendant.
Have a nice day.
And you're lucky to have gotten it from the landlord.
So it's a tough lesson for the plaintiff. She fails to get her deposit back from the broker. Ms. Perry, let me ask you how you feel about this. The judge gave you some good advice. You should have known the law before you filed the lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, I just essentially feel that he told us multiple times he would return the broker fee to us. He told us the apartment had been re-rented and he would send it a few days later, and that was months ago. So if he should never have returned it, then I don't understand why he would have told us that multiple times. So you live, you learn.
Well, you live and learn, but he was in the right to keep it. I guess you should have just pestered him a little bit more. Maybe he would have given it to you. Let's find out what he has to say. Mr. Avaliotis, you obviously know the law here, and you said you would give it back to her. Why didn't you? Or what were you waiting for?
Well, I was going to give it back to her, sir, and the situation was the landlord gave back the security and the rent. But the problem is they call me up and says, we're going to take you to court. So I says, let's go to court, have somebody else make the decision.
All right. Well, look, you're in the right. You prevailed. You don't have to give the money back. Harvey, what are your thoughts?
Doug, it's simply tough luck that the plaintiff didn't take the apartment. It's true. The defendant did his job. It was up to her whether to take it or not, and that's why she lost.
I bought a Rolex watch for $100 at a garage sale. I dropped it on the floor a week later and it stopped working. When I took it to the repair shop, they said it's a fake. Can I sue the guy who sold it to me?
Well, whether or not you can sue about something being a fake depends on whether or not anybody told you it wasn't.
Right.
Okay?
I'm going to assume this didn't come with books and papers and a box.
Right, and some implication that it was real. I'm going to assume that it was just a watch at a garage. Now, oddly, the one place you might get that kind of a bargain is at a garage sale, because sometimes people are just getting rid of stuff and they don't know what they have.
Yeah, we always hear those stories about how some guy found a Renoir.
Right, an art piece in a garage sale.
Right, some ancient thing that was...
But I doubt intensely the person at the garage sale said, oh, that's real, I guarantee it. That never happened.
I think you'll have a hard time getting
I think you'll have a hard time.
Case, let's just say.
Right.